Well, hello everyone. You have right here. I'm talking about for having a desire to make a lot of money here, and you see this right here. I'm talking about, do you have a desire to make a lot of money? And a lot of times, you may see that, on any source of application, or maybe if it's a letter from a doctor or something like that. But a lot of times, it seems like that, each time you do think about that, you're always want to know too. That really that what exactly do you think that question is necessarily asking for? And at 102 is that, just how it's worded, though, is that, do you have a desire to make a lot of money? And at the time, you always want to know, too, that, well, for sure, that you have the desire to learn new things. And of course, if you have a desire to, in your ability to where that you can interact with the team and all that, but still, that what are some ways of how we can, think about that sort of question? And in case if anybody's wanting to know too, that when we do think about having a desire to make a lot of money, is that supposed to be another way of stating it as to where that you think that you'll be able to provide good service? And to me, I just really think in a lot of ways, it's also about providing good service. Good service to your clients or anybody else that you're going to be working with. And that's why it seems like that when we talk about having the desire to make a lot of money, right? And but you see right here, talk about for today right here. And so I don't know if everybody can see this right here. This right here actually shows talk about for today, but I have a capital T right here along with O and then day right here. And just how that's worded right there. And if we can all see this right here, that just how that's worded right there is that you can see right here when we do speak about having desire desire to make a lot of money for today right here. And you're thinking this to her, okay, yeah, you put today right there, and you put two lines right there. And I was just thinking too that another thing that I want to mention right here, I'll talk about for ticket right here. And everybody thinking too that okay, when we do speak about tickets though, that we talking about concert tickets, are we necessarily talking about maybe a ticket to go to a theme park or somewhere like that, or maybe to go to a museum or somewhere? And that's why it seems like that when we do speak about tickets though. So for tickets. And so it sure seems that way that when we do speak about the tickets, and I mean, I could go ahead and put a capital T right there too. But really, though, that everybody might think that is to where that whenever you do hear tickets, by the way, that are we talking about, that admissions tickets or something like that? Or we talk about maybe free tickets or maybe special offer tickets or something like that, and just to go to if it's the movies or any other sorts of theme park or a special occasion or something like that. And so whenever you do think about that, and you're 102, that having a desire to make a lot of money for sure, that how do you think that should be answered? And everybody would probably say that, well, I know exactly how you will be able to answer that. It's all about the fact about whenever it's all about returning back to work. And to me, it sounds like to me that that's another source of question whenever it comes to understanding about an application. And that's the way I think about it too. That every time you do think about that, it sure seems that way. That they're going to ask those questions mainly because that if you would like to return back to work or back to studies, and to me, I just really think that that's really what it is, right? It's all about that they're asking you that if you're wanting to return back to working again, if you're wanting to return back to going to school or anything that you're doing, that they're going to ask you that question as to where do you have a desire to make a lot of money here? And so really, I'm like, if there's really anything wrong about that, whenever it comes to asking the question, But it's like, yeah, what sorts of answer do you think that you would need to give here whenever it comes to, yeah, I'm like, if that's supposed to be maybe like you on a resume or maybe a job description or something like that. You have it put like that right there. Returning back to work, and I could put on here also that yeah, returning back to work, and also that it said, I'm like, yeah, the morning announcements right here. But really, that when we talk about having a desire to make a lot of money here, then what about the service? Good, great service. Great service provided. And let's just say that if I put on here, maybe at the bottom right here, I could put, quick, yeah, quick, very quick or something like that. And so really, that I'm sure everybody might even say too that based on your experience, that whenever we do read a job description, though, that you would see something like that, to where that yeah, whenever it comes to going back to work or maybe anything that you're going to be doing, that what's going to be the most common field whenever it comes to understanding about job growth is that a lot of clients are asking you to work something or read a document or make a copy of something, or to anything that you're going to be doing, maybe in an office area or anywhere like that. They're going to be asking you to do a few things. So I'm like, I want to make sure it's very quick. The things that they are very quick, right? And a lot of times it's like maybe one of your first jobs is maybe going to be that you're going to maybe be working in a copy room or somewhere like that, and you want to know too that yeah, that this is going to be your job right here, is reading the emails or something like that. But still, that I'm like, how many of us we can maybe even like, yeah, raise our hand and like vote, or any way you like it, but still. How many of us could maybe remember that, one of your very first jobs, of course, was working in an office, or maybe being a front desk clerk or somewhere like that, or somebody that answers phone calls, and you're 102. That, yeah, that the first job that you did have there for a while, that you were working in an office or somewhere like that. But still, but talk about right here, I talk about for today right here. And if you can see this right here, that I have right here for today right here. And welcome right here. For like for you're welcome to give that a try right there. But still, it's like each time you think about that, and you're warned to where that how do you think that question should really be answered? And like everybody else would probably say that that yeah, that I really think in a lot of ways, like, yeah, if it's courage, or like everybody might say, it's another way of stating as to where that you are willing to learn new things, and that you are willing to like, yeah, whenever you do return back to work, or whenever you do go back to school, or anything else that you were doing from before, that you would like to come back and do service. And so to me, though, that I really just think that that question is kind of paraphrasing over the fact that anybody who's trying to go back to work, or if anything, maybe if there's going to be improvements, maybe if it's promotions or anything like that. I really think in a lot of ways that whenever you do use that question, by the way, that somebody's going to say that, hey, that it's another way of them saying is to where that if you're willing to provide a good service to your customers and clients, and it's another way of saying this to where, okay, yeah, that here are your next challenges right here. But still, so you write right here for today right here, and you have right here these underlines right here. If you can all see this right here, it's all underlined right there. And yeah, I'm like, it looks like it was torn just a little bit, but you have right here these underlines. And so you're warned to where that why do you think that whenever I used to write my papers, a lot of times I used to always want to know too, that why is it that why would you underline a word? Why would you underline a letter right here? And to me, though, that I really think that pretty much meant is toward it. If there's any letter in particular that will be, yeah, if it was capitalized or if it needed to have corrections or something like that. And I just really think in a lot of ways too, like everybody say that if you were to go ahead and encircle a word or write a word, and let's just say that if you were making changes or something like that, like everybody might say that, usually you would see something like that if you're trying to make changes. Like if you're trying to show somebody something, and let's just say if it's not a complete sentence or something like that. But it's like, yeah, today. And so almost everything that you do, for sure, they're not talking about tomorrow. They're not talking about next Friday, but they're talking about today. And that's why it seems like that whenever you do think about today right here, and you're 102, that today, we are going to talk about having the desire to make a lot of money, okay? And, today, yeah, what we're going to talk about is that return back to work and then providing a great service for our customers and clients. And so it sure seems that way that when we do talk about, returning back to work and all that, but still, what better way really is it to describe whenever it comes to having a desire to make a lot of money? And you might think as toward, okay, yeah, this top page right here, that do you necessarily think as toward it? Can you really picture, yourself on the telephone just like that? And at 102, that if you're going to be talking to somebody, and let's just say that they start talking to you about stuff, and yeah, so it's like, yeah. So having a desire to make a lot of money, by the way, do you necessarily think about that as to where that at first it seems like as to where that you had to listen very clearly first and have your ability to have a lot of knowledge whenever it comes to situations in the mind, such as paying for insurance, and make sure, anyone in a household knows and understands their ability to manage their finances. So you have right here, yeah, so it sure seems that way. The question kind of goes by saying is to where that if you can actually read this to somebody so that way they can better understand what the next steps are. And it's like, yeah, what are the next steps? What the next steps are. And at the time, you always want to know too, that if that's exactly how the question is phrased, is to where if you have a desire to make a lot of money, that the first thing that comes to your mind is returning back to work, but then also that could you explain what everybody else is looking at here? And so that's why it seems like that whenever you do think about that, and you're 102, that whenever you talk about having a desire to make a lot of money, that are you necessarily talking about your audience, anybody? Yeah, first it seems like the who's listening, and whenever it comes to situations that come to the mind, but still, it's like that at the time it seems like that having a desire to make a lot of money, for sure. Like everybody might say that don't we all maybe agree that that it's about it's about forwarding the messages, by the way. Replying, yeah. I would probably say that too, in case if there's any kids they're going to maybe ask, is that, what's one example that you can maybe give whenever it comes to, having a desire to make a lot of money? Yeah, you're having a desire to make a lot of money. Having a desire to make a lot of money, and the first thing that you're going to maybe say is toward it, yeah, that they'll go ahead and give you a credit, just for corresponding with us, if you do respond, to the messages, and if you reply to the message, and yeah. So I really think, in a lot of ways, everybody, that be quite honest with you, that I actually see that, by the way, that text messaging and chatting live with an agent, that I actually see that to where that, okay, yeah, if you want to have a desire to make a lot of money, that pretty much means is to where that you are willing to listen to what the representative. I'm like, yeah, to follow these step by step instructions, and to follow my instructions step by step, just to be able to make it happen, stuff like that, and half the time you're one to know too that especially if it's going to be a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning, and let's just say if it's between maybe 8 to maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, and let's just say that somebody's going to say is toward it, check your mailbox right here and see what you got, and presents, here is me on the telephone, and the mailbox is right behind me. This is how most service workers, whenever it comes to taking care of a few of the important matters right here, first it seems like that to be about listening, but then knowing about the best of your ability of knowledge whenever it comes to what comes to your mind. So whenever you do think about having a desire to make a lot of money, that the first thing that comes to your mind, of course, is maybe going to be money. If you have a desire to make some money, and then maybe to think about, okay, you're not really, I'm like, are you really making the money, or are you just finding a place to put the money, or are you just writing down a few facts and maybe a few problem-solving tips about, how to be able to keep that money, in source of investment accounts or anything like that. And so every time you think about that, and you're going to know too that really, what is the best way of how to correspond with that? And everybody else would probably say that, I know exactly what that means. Is that knowing about that, you see that ad right there, but still. So every time you think about that and you're word toward, really, what is the best way of how to answer that question to where if you have a desire to make a lot of money? And everybody might say is to where that, I know exactly what it means. It pretty much means is that they're asking you for at least a couple of hours of your time. Or, I know exactly what that means. It pretty much means is that, you have a desire to, to work, and but still. So it sure seems that way that, I used to always think that almost all the time too. Anything that you saw on those TV commercials for sure. I would watch a TV commercial, and I don't know if you want to put a comma right there or something, but quotations or anything like that. But I tell you one thing that every time you do think about that, and you're 102, that I would also think that remembering the number to call, you'll just be able to listen about being advertised. So it sure seems that way that how many parents would even say too that most of the time that whenever you have a desire to make a lot of money, this is pretty much this is another way of putting it too, is that if you're able to respond to that email message right there, you go ahead and respond to that message, and they might send you a code too or something like that, or please follow this link or something like that. That's usually what I see too. That's usually what I see. Please follow this link right here. So there'll be something that would appear on that message. Please follow this link. Please follow this URL link right here. So it sure seems that way that any kids that may even say too that if you're going to be on your smartphone or even on your tablet, that you're warned to where that if you do see a message like that, and you're warned too that if you're going to be on that smartphone, maybe if it's to look at pictures, and like everybody else might say that to play a game, if you're playing games or maybe looking at photographs, and the first thing that you might see maybe on the left corner right here will be like an advertisement, and that's why it seems like that they'll say that that whenever it comes to advertisements though, and you're warned to where that hey, that if you turn the TV on and you see these advertisements, but still that you're warned to where that that if you mainly were reading this article here, you mainly opened that ad just because that you were just being helpful. You were trying to help mommy and daddy out or something like that, or taking care of something or something like that. But everybody might say is to where that whenever it comes to insurance, or maybe whenever it does come to maybe reading something for sure. I mean, I really don't know. Everybody might say that if you're going to have maybe a 10-year-old in the house, and you may want to know too that you got a 10-year-old that wants to read a paper, and maybe if it's a Saturday's paper, and they're going to say that you're the best of your knowledge of managing this process right here. So everybody might say that, yeah, your 10-year-old that's maybe going to be reading a few articles, and they're going to say that, the way that this advertisement was shown right here is that that you were on the phone with this agent for about maybe 30 minutes or so, and so it's like you answered a few questions, and a lot of times that's usually what it is too. You just answer a few questions, and so I really think in a lot of ways too. Answer a few questions. Yeah, answer a few questions. To answer a few questions right here, and so almost all the time, you answer a few questions. Do you think that maybe that you want to put a comma right there? I'm like, I can. I mean, I really don't know, everybody, that if anything, you could be all one sentences, or if you want to put a comma right there, but still, anything that you probably prefer, right? Just so that way you can better understand it a little bit more, right? But everybody might say that every time you think about those applications, by the way, and you're 102, if you're trying to show your son and daughter, something important, and 102, that one way to look at having a desire to make a lot of money for sure will be is this toward, if you want to go ahead and maybe put that maybe sideways or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I can. I'm like, I don't know why anybody might say you go and put it sideways like there, maybe because you're running out of room on this document here. You just want to put it somewhere. And somebody might say that, yeah, well, you go ahead and teach somebody the basics about how to fill out an application. And you go and write sideways right there. I mean, I don't know if I really recommend doing that, but in case if anybody wants to say is toward it, is it really going to remind you of anything such as a bookmark whenever you do that, by the way? Whenever you do that, is it really supposed to remind you of a bookmark? Answer a few questions right here, and let's just say if you put that on the side right there, going sideways, it's supposed to, that's usually where the bookmark is usually placed, but still, you put that right there, but everybody might say that, yeah, if you have a desire to make a lot of money, then what exactly do you think? What exactly do you think that you would see necessarily? I'm like, everybody might say that that's a really good question. You were that desperate for finding a job or to do something, or just if you're just getting some practice with it, whichever it is, you're going to go ahead and just write on the side right here and say that you put on here sideways some text and quotes messages right here for any reason at all, if you think anybody's going to pay attention to that, but still. So the first thing that's going to come to your mind, of course, is going to be in the paper or something like that, whenever it comes to situations, and but still, it's like how you would want to respond to that, and everybody would say that I just really think in a lot of ways that kids and or anybody else is going to probably say that, hey, that I actually found that to be pretty pretty, I'm like, yeah, if it's obvious that the type of word I'm looking for is obvious, as to where if you're just trying to get some practice with it or something like that, or just trying to get a better understanding of how the services work and all that. And so really, if you were to be asking somebody if they have a desire to make a lot of money, then is the first answer that you're really going to give is to answer a few questions right here. And do you think that that's very smart? Do you think that that's very obvious and smart to go ahead and just say that answer a few questions, answer a couple of questions or so, and then you just so that way you can get something going, right? And let's just say if it's filling out an application, maybe let's just say that if you're just trying to make a few corrections or anything like that, just to go, if it's a review or something like that. And most of the time, like, everybody might say that if it's supposed to be a review or something like that, then you would go ahead and have that, where you would say they'll go ahead and answer a few questions right there. And so that's why it seems like that you could put that right there sideways. And everybody might say that, well, have you really heard every detail in the book or something like that whenever it comes to answering questions and, whenever it comes to working with something? And that's why it seems like everybody might say that, whenever you talk about having a desire to make a lot of money, the first thing that's maybe going to be coming to your mind is, maybe, a multiplication table or something like that. Everybody say, if I were to do the math correctly right here, and 102, if I were to do the math correctly right here, and then 102, with the calculator. Everybody might say that, whether there's another way here. I'll go and put that right there. If that right there is supposed to be like a math problem or something like that. Put underlined or something like that. Everybody might say, if are you trying to put like a math problem, math equation right there? Yeah. But anyway, so that right there. So if you're trying to use that that spot right there, if you're trying to use that space right there just to be able to put any sorts of math problem or something like that, and everybody might say that really that anything that done on a calculator for sure. But I just really think in a lot of ways that whenever it comes to understanding about the basic math, though, and you're thinking that, hey, that, whenever we do talk about the basic math, that you're thinking is that, do you have a desire to solve problems? And I really think that that's really the key of the fact of the matter whenever it comes to whenever that question is asked. That do you, it could go a lot of ways, right? But do you have a desire to solve problems? Do you have a desire to answer a few questions? And I really think that that's really the best answer for it. And like everybody else would say, is that if you've heard that question before, you know exactly what it means. Is that that pretty much means is to where it's somebody's going back to work or they're starting up a business. They're starting their own business somewhere. And that's why they say that on the application is to where if you have desire to make a lot of money and if you have desire to follow the requirements step by step and all that. And so it's the way I think about it too, is that when we do think about that. But another thing that I want to talk about is talk about for capital T right here. So like everybody say, it's all about is to where not, for tomorrow and not for next Friday, but for today right here. So really, I'm like, do you think that maybe there should be like an app that call for today or something like that? Everybody might say that that the type of app that you're talking about, right? U102 that do you think that there should be a title called today or something like that? Okay, today. Well, what about today? And so really that in a lot of ways, whenever you do think about that, you're thinking as toward it. Today is not really a title. Why do you think that anybody would want to use that for a title or a headline? It talks about it's titled today. Everybody would say that I would like for you to give it an actual name. You'll give it an actual title. If you just say today or something like that on something, for sure, somebody might say that, well, if you don't give it a specific name for sure, then what are the chances that somebody's going to say that, well, I'm afraid that name has already been used for another project or something like that. But anyway, you got right here for today right here, and I just thought about that is toward it, whenever you first start a job, that the first thing that you think about for the most part, is that they're looking for resources. They're looking for information and resources that they can have ready by today. So that way you can go and start working. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, I got thank you very much right here. But still, do you have a desire to make a lot of money? And way I think about it, I just really think in a lot of ways, people might say, yeah, you're more than welcome to go ahead and try to give this a try or give that a try or something. But still, on the other hand, I also wanted to talk about for tickets because everybody might say that after all that hard work that you do for something and 102 the year, where's your award? Anything such as awards or anything special of some kind. And but still, in a lot of ways, you'll probably think it too that having a desire to make a lot of money, that you actually is that really supposed to be another way of how you want to call this tour? It's advertising. And so yeah, for 30 seconds. For 30 seconds or so, or maybe sometimes it's even 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds. You please, for 10 seconds to go ahead and 10 seconds in timing. 10 seconds to go ahead and set an ad to where it talks about stuff. And everybody might say that 10 seconds. Does it take you 10 seconds just to be able to read an article? Does it maybe take you 10 seconds, just to be able to look at something, or just to be able to help anybody reading or any of your viewers understand what you're talking about? But yeah, you got right there the football right there. But still, everybody might say that one of the things that you can do about whenever it comes to having a desire to make a lot of money is to get some attention by your viewers about, okay, yeah, if you were to be looking at a photograph or something, to where it would be able to explain to your audience about what is it that they're looking at, what is it that they need to do, what is it that they need to, I'm like, yeah, interact with. And so really that everybody would say that's another way of putting it too. You just look at one image right here, and just to get a better idea of what that's supposed to mean right there. And the first thing that you think about is to say, yeah, sports. And so yeah, if it's going to be sports or something like that. So yeah, the first thing that you think about whenever you do it, I'm like, yeah. Everybody might say that the first thing that you were thinking about whenever you saw that image right there was a class portrait. It was not really about sports. It was actually a class portrait, or if it's maybe events or something like that. But still, I, on the other hand, whenever I do think about that, I also keep thinking too that whenever you do think about sports or anything else, any other sorts of activity, that you're thinking as to where that whenever it comes to working something, that you're thinking that whenever it comes to thinking about something, and you're thinking as to where hey, that sports though. And so whenever you do think about sports, that you actually want to just use one image or maybe three images and do like a little do like a little like an ad right here, and then just put on here some basic information about anything that's going to be going on, such as an event or something like that. But still, in case if anybody's wanting to know too, that whenever it comes to sports, I could put on here too. Yeah, sports and sports and interactivities. So really, what does that mean right there? And everybody might say that I know exactly what it means. sports and interactivities right here is to where the type of activities that you can use on a mobile device, and maybe if it's anything on an iPhone or a tablet or something like that, streaming service. But still, almost everybody might say that. I really think in a lot of ways they're pretty much the same thing. I don't really see a difference between those. Interactivities. So really, so every time you do think about that, for sure, somebody's going to be asking the question for sure. And 102, yeah, sports and interactivities right here. And you're thinking as to where, okay, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It's not and or whichever, but still. I'm like, you could probably think as to where that, you would use that title right there. Maybe if we're talking about, maybe if it's fitness or something like that, exercising, maybe lifting weights or something like that. Everybody else might say that, well, really, you can use it like if you're going to be putting together an ad maybe for fitness or something like that, maybe for lifting weights or something like that, or maybe exercising, maybe jogging, or maybe if it's running activities or something like that. But anyway, social activities or something like that. But anyway, have right here, I'm like, 10 seconds to talk about something. So a lot of times it sure seems that way, that whenever you do think about that, really, what's the best way of how to answer that question whenever it comes to having a desire to make a lot of money?